What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. This video is just discussing the future of the Elder Scrolls Online with the recent announcements that they're no longer going to be doing a actual meet-up for the 10-year anniversary in America. So they're cancelling events and stuff moving forward. So I'm just going to really get into that. Is the game going to be over, or is it going to continue? You know, just like the World of Warcraft that's been going 20 years, this game's been going 10 years. That's only half the life. And just my personal opinion on what's really going to be happening with the game PvP and PvE wise. So with my initial thoughts of the event being cancelled, I think it's just purely a financial issue. From a financial standpoint, it's probably just not worth going ahead with the face-to-face event, which is a shame as they do them every year. But things change, things move on. Maybe the game just isn't paying as much to warrant a full-blown event. Having said that, that doesn't mean that Elder Scrolls is officially over. There's still plenty more planned for the game. As we know, of next year there will be an upcoming chapter, which there is every year. In 2025 we'll get a new zone, probably a new trial, more of the same, maybe a new system, possibly even a new class. So does this sound like the game is going to be ending? Definitely not. Players come and go. Yes, the player base is not incredibly high, particularly in the PvP community. It's definitely a lot better on PC. The consoles are waning somewhat, but the game is definitely not going to be ending anytime soon. Initially I thought a few years back that the game would end and there'd be something moving forwards, but to be honest, I do feel they're just going to continue with the game as it is, you know, just with chapter releases and dungeons and a few new systems here and there, and the game probably isn't going to die, not for at least maybe even 10 years, just like the World of Warcraft. And what has kept the World of Warcraft going and what is keeping this going compared to other MMOs that have come and gone? I mean, obviously we've had newer MMOs come out like the Throne Liberty and obviously New World, which is a little bit older, but they've obviously ate into the player base of Elder Scrolls, but it hasn't had a lasting effect. You know, the players might go and play that game, but you always get players returning. You can always get new players. I mean, on console you don't see as many new players, but on PC there's definitely still an influx of new players. And I think particularly with this update, with the PvP update, it's not as appealing to the wider audience of Elder Scrolls. If it was like a dungeon pack or something, or a new zone, I think it would have been a bit more popular. Obviously, releasing DLC for a lesser popular section of the game is not going to be as well received, which was expected. But it is nice that the PvP community has finally had something in the form of battlegrounds, whether it be good or not. But yes, to be honest, I think what's keeping Elder Scrolls going is the name itself. If it was just another MMO with not a big name to it, a big brand to it, tied to it, it probably would have died about 5 years ago. Same with World of Warcraft, I think applies. It's not that it's a particularly amazing MMO or has something that no other MMOs have, as they're all very similar, with like the Neverwinter Online as well, which I've played. It's just the name itself and the brand itself is what's keeping the game going. And also Elder Scrolls does have unmatched combat system as compared to other MMOs. In my opinion, the combat system is just very, very good when it works. So I do feel that Elder Scrolls Online will probably be around for another 5 to 10 years, even if the player base does decline somewhat. But it's the same with World of Warcraft. Like I said, you know, that's 20 years old and it's still going strong, and it's the name that is probably carrying it, just like the Elder Scrolls is carrying it with the name. So like I said, we've got a new chapter to look forward to next year, probably some sort of new system, hopefully some new dungeons, and hopefully, if we're really lucky, maybe some more PvP content, as they've already adjusted the battlegrounds. For good or better is up for debate. but they may change the other open world systems. I'm hoping maybe the Imperial City might be the next beast they want to try and tackle, as Imperial City is really good. It just definitely needs a few updates here and there just to improve it. And then if we're really lucky, we might get Cyrodiil, and they might make some more open world changes there, and that'll be really good. So there's still a lot to look forward to, and like I said, I do feel maybe we're in sort of the beginning of the Elder Scrolls Online, dare I say, rather than not the end, or somewhere in the middle. Yes, it's probably never going to go back to the former glory days it once had, but with the excellent combat system when it works, and also the name is tied to the Elder Scrolls, which is obviously a massive franchise, it will continue to persist. The only thing that might change that is when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, but again, how many years off is that still? It could be another 2 or 3 years before that actually has a lasting effect on this. And also we don't know if that is actually going to be, or I don't know anyway at least, if it's going to be an MMO or just a single player game. If it's a single player game, it might not have much of an effect on the Elder Scrolls Online, but if it is an MMO or a multiplayer, it might have a much larger effect. But again, that is still some way off. So I think you're pretty good to about 2030 with this game, you know. So like I said, it's not a perfect game. It has good points and bad points, and I just feel that it is definitely not on its last legs. I do feel obviously when content creators quit and move on to other things, it does have sort of like an effect where you think the game is dying, but to be honest, it's just one player and there's still plenty more other players to replace, and you know, you still see new players joining all the time. So, and obviously it is a very seasonal based game as well, so obviously when there's a new DLC, then you might get players return, and obviously in between those parts and events and that, you might get less players overall, so you will get players come and go. But yeah, these are just my thoughts on the game as a whole and moving forward into 2025. So drop this video a like, guys, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and let me know your comments in the comments section below, and I'll get back to you, and I'll see you in the next video.